I kind of think of Shelley as like the Justice League. Everyone talks about, Brindley Cannon, but they're kind of like the Justice League. They just have a nice set of characters that back them up.
When it comes to high school sports, East Idaho never gets its due.
I ran into Jeremy Hess, the AD of Grace Lutheran, and, he was just excited. And then, I'm just talking to him and he goes, we have 7 girls. So just amazing.
But the East Idaho Prepcast has changed that, covering the biggest sports stories from Salmon all the way down to Bear Lake.
And again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They, they don't have social media, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
It's the East Idaho Prepcast with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of Idaho High School athletics. Joel Richardson here, and let's bring in our insider expert from East Idaho himself, Sean Kane. Sean, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just, people are probably tuning in, a little 8-man football. Hopefully you grabbed a cold beverage and some popcorn and ready to get into some juicy East Idaho Championship edition is really what it is going to come down to in a few minutes.
Right. The title of tonight's Prepcast, Sean, is History the Hard Way. And man, do we have some history tonight to discuss. Let's get right into it. We're going to be talking state volleyball and cross country, preview some swimming, and then we'll finish off with some football. State volleyball happened last weekend, Sean, in East Idaho. They showed out, man. What a great weekend from 6A all the way down to 1A. Just a few classifications, maybe didn't do as well as the other classifications, but every classification performed admirably. Let's start with 6A, Sean. Madison Bobcats. We've been talking about them all season long. They did what we thought they would do. 3-peat champions, the Madison Bobcats. What do you got?
I mean, it was I watched a lot of these games, and let me tell you, when you get to watch volleyball at like the highest level, the 2 matches Madison had with Skyview, which Skyview, is legendary in their own right, but Madison now has brought themselves into the spotlight as being just as legendary. It is so good, and they're so competitive. Madison, wins every game basically. The head scratcher was to me is our good friends at the ranking prep.com. Skyview goes kind of on a little bit of a run and wins the district championship, but why he was, I think, kind of the favorite over there in the Boise area. And then when those rankings come out, Skyview is ranked number 1, and I couldn't for the life of me couldn't figure it out, to be honest with you, but it didn't matter. Madison goes on, they just took down a Boise team after Boise team, right? They took down Rocky 3-0. They took down Hawaii 3-0. They had a 5 games against Skyview in the first one. It was amazing. It was great stuff. They won that one 3-2, and then the true championship, they take Skyview again 3-1, and it's a 3-peat, their 7th title. And and the big thing, I'm just talking to some people and stuff, they only have 4 seniors on this team, right? It's some of these same girls play basketball, and they were the 8th seed last year in basketball, and you're just kind of like, I don't know. And they played some teams really, really tough, and a lot of these girls, you can tell why. And their basketball team was young too, so watch out going forward in that District 6. But such an amazing run, 3 in a row, and sky's the limit. 4 seniors in volleyball, that program is just beating to its own drum.
Yeah, no doubt. They were the favorites in the High Country Conference, right? District 5-6 of District 6, of 6A all season. And Madison ends with 36-2 record. They go undefeated in conference. Like you said, Sean, they end up 3-peating at the Mountain America Center in Idaho Falls. They came in as the 2 seed, but they ended up defeating the 1 seed twice. And they are your 6A girls volleyball state champion. And you mentioned, Sean, the 4 seniors. you also have you have a youngish team, right? Four seniors is nothing to shake your head at. They're going to lose some talent for sure. But one of their big players, sophomore Johnny Folsom, she's an outside hitter with super spikes and big blocks. There was a great article from the East Idaho News on her this week. But what a great player to have who's only a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose some people, but you have a sophomore that contributed in such a huge manner in a state tournament going for a three-peat. You can't really ask for anything more. And like I said, it's got to be exciting in Bobcat country, because it's not like we had this group and, this is the year and we had a chance, and, it's been 3 years and it's not, I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Yeah. And really, really great job from Madison. Let's, let's bring in this comment from our buddy Brandon Walton at the Idaho State Journal, right? Hey guys, Brandon Walton, District 5 and 6 definitely showed up this weekend. It's keeping me busy. Keep up the great work. Right on. Yeah, Brandon Walton's been doing a good job covering volleyball, cross country, and yeah, he's been really busy.
Yeah,
we'll get into the
I'll shout out Brandon when we get down to a little special one down in the 1A.
Yeah,
I'll give you,
for sure.
So stay
That's why I
tuned.
wasn't sure. Like, do we bring him in now or do we bring him in later once we finish all the District 5 and 6?
Yeah,
who definitely
we'll get there.
Out.
We'll get there. You got to let it build, Joel. You got to let it
for
build.
Sure. I didn't want him to think like we had forgotten, as the show goes on. So
oh no!
Shout out Brandon, but we'll give you a shout out pretty soon here. 5A Idaho Falls. They were really strong all year. They end up going third, so no championship from 5A. Pocatello got bounced early as well. But still a good showing from both of them. Both of them have depth, and they'll be back next year. Let's jump down to 4A, Sean. This was at Lake City High School in Coeur d'Alene, up there in the Panhandle. Number 1 seeded Bear Lake. They were fitting number 1, unlike Madison, but they were the true number 1 seed. And Sean, Bear Lake girls volleyball, they also are champions. Go 3-0 over South Fremont, 3-0 over Coal Valley Christian, 3-2 over Kimberly, and finally 3-1 over Fruitland to take the state title.
Yeah, Bear Lake, quietly was just super dominant all year. I got to see them live. They're very good and just fundamentally sound. I mean, but look, they went 32-3. They won 93 sets and only lost 16. Like, those are some historic numbers for any program, let alone a Bear Lake program that's, basically moved up, right? Essentially moved up a division kind of with the reclassification, but they only lost 16 sets in the whole year. And it was just amazing, and they were dominant, and they had one close one with Coal Valley Christian that was 3-2, but basically took care of business all the way through. And it's their first title since 2001. And their coach, is really cool. Stephanie Birch was on a great run on a team of Bear Lake that went through a great run through 97 through 2001, where they had 5 consecutive. She was part of it from 97, 98, and 99. In her second year, she's able to bring one back as a coach. So what a cool experience to have there.
Yeah, and then she got to coach her daughter, Brinley Birch, the senior, right? She had 13 kills, 13 digs, and 6 aces in that final game against Fruitland. Really cool to be able to coach your kids, especially when your kid is starting and killing it like that.
Yeah, as a coach and with kids and stuff, it probably would be cool. But obviously mom has the experience. She's got a few banners hanging in that gym that are hers. It's not that hard to listen to someone with experience like that, I think. But obviously the coaching and all that staff at Bear Lake just did a phenomenal job. 32-3 all year. It's just a great job. Cap it off with a banner, a blue trophy, the Bear Lake blue, as I call it, because it's kind of their same color.
It is, yeah. And it's congrats to Bear Lake. It is so hard. Madison as well. Bear Lake goes 32-3. Madison goes 36-2. This is also including tournaments. Idaho Sports has now started including their win-losses in tournaments. So you say, let's say you play 4 games on a Friday, Saturday tournament. All those 4 games are going to be on IdahoSports.com's win-loss column. win-loss
different
chart.
classifications, right?
Exactly.
They're not just playing 4A schools. They played all different classifications and things, and just what an incredible season.
Yeah, really, really great. So congrats to Bear Lake girls volleyball. They are the 4A state champs. 3A, this was held at the University of Idaho out there in Moscow. Number two, Malad, they went deep, Sean. They beat West Side. They beat Ambrose. They lost to Melba 3-2. Then they beat Nampa Christian to play Melba once again. But that time, Melba is just so good. They lost to Melba 3-0. But number two, Malad, ends up getting second in the whole tournament.
Yeah, Malad was one of the favorites coming into it. Melba also very good. Obviously, they had chances, right? The first meeting was 3-2, but get to the final, Melba flexed a little bit, but Malad, a great season as well. Number two, another trophy into East Idaho brought home. And remember, as we go through this, there's 6 blue trophies handed out over the course of volleyball, right? 6, 4 of those blue ones, which is first place, came back to East Idaho. 4 is right. Like an unreal it was an unreal weekend. We'll get into more of those trophies that came back to East Idaho, but if you're keeping track at home, we're winning.
That's right. Did you hear that, Skaggs? East Idaho's winning.
Okay. Lakeland did get it in 5A, and they came back the hard way. So I will give a shout out to Lakeland. They ended up beating Twin Falls, who makes it all the way to the championship as the 8th seed, which is a great story. And I'm sure the great Scott Burton will cover that sometime this week.
For sure. We love all our friends across the state, but it is fun to flex when we can here in East Idaho. And man, this week we are flexing a lot. Let's jump to 2A. This was held at Jerome High School. Speaking of Scott Burton out there in the Magic Valley, number 2 seeded Butte County are your 2A champs, Sean. They go 3-0 over Liberty Charter, 3-0 over Hagerman, 3-1 over Troy, and 3-1 over Oakley. It was never really close for that number 2 seeded Butte County Lady Pirates.
No, Gretchen Simpson in her 7th year, 4th title since 1996. They were just unreal. They were another team. I think sometimes it kind of gets lost because Butte County and Grace, they're the only ones in their conference, right?
Right.
Grace had a very good volleyball team too that could have went and competed at the state tournament. I think just as good as any other team. Unfortunately, Butte is their conference opponent, and they beat them outright to go. But just so good. And Scott Burton was also the public address announcer at Jerome. So I got to hear a couple of his calls with the 1997 Bulls intro music, which is a favorite of mine, Alan Parsons' project.
Right on. And thank you to Scott Burton for emceeing that tournament. And when you have a team, now this team, the Butte County Lady Pirates volleyball team, is mostly juniors and sophomores. So again, a young team, and they win the championship. And next year they'll be coming back, no doubt, as favorites. But really a special season. They go 42-8. And looking back at their record, Sean, most games were never really close. So the fact that they went into this tournament mostly dominating these teams, except for those 8 losses, then they go in and really mop the floor with the teams that they played against in the tournament, just echoed how well they did in this season.
Yeah, a lot of people said, Troy, the defending champs, they're going to come back. Right. Troy's got this in a bag. I think a lot of people overlooked this Butte County team, and it was on display at this tournament. I mean, they were never really, it never really got to a point where it was even scary for them. I mean, they lost 2 games total, right? 2 games total out of all the games. And it never was, I don't think it was ever in doubt for them. And it was just a great display of what they had to offer. And sometimes, like I said, it just gets lost a little bit when you're in a smaller conference, and it's not as much fanfare. But Butte County doing great things in pretty much all sports, right? As we'll find out coming up in this weekend as well. But congrats to their volleyball for last weekend and bringing home a state title.
And then finally, Sean, last but certainly not least, in 1A, held at Canyon Ridge High School last weekend, the number 5 seeded Grace Lutheran girls volleyball beat Genesee 3-0, Rockland 3-0, Horseshoe Bend 3-0, and Horseshoe Bend again. You got it, Sean. 3-0. They go undefeated in the state tournament to take the 1A girls volleyball state championship.
Yeah, just an unbelievable story. And let's backpedal a little bit. Grace doesn't even qualify to the state tournament outright. They have to play a play-in game to even get here, right?
Right.
They have Mackey, they have Rockland, they had to beat Ledor to get there. There's just great teams in this conference, and Grace, doesn't even outright win a district championship, it doesn't outright even just get a spot.
They have third place in their conference.
Yeah, they have to play a play-in game even to be there. And then what did they do? They just played some of the best volleyball, maybe out of all the tournaments. I mean, it's a different classification, but they just never were ever in any trouble. And this is where you're going to shout out Brandon Walton was at the championship game, and he was texting me, and he's just like, yeah, where do I go? Because, there was happening in Idaho Falls, but he's like, this Grace, team. And I'm like, you got to go to Grace. I think that's a good pick. And sure enough, it's the biggest thing to ever happen for Grace. They just opened in 2016. Last year was their most successful year in probably sports as volleyball. And, they went from not even having enough players and things like that. And I think maybe they had 8 girls this time in the intro. I think last year it was 7. You hear me say Jeremy Hess, the AD. I always run into him and talk to him. And but they only compete in 5 sports at Grace Lutheran: basketball, girls and boys, golf. Well, they only compete in 3 sports, I guess, because basketball, volleyball, and golf. That's it. And they've never won a state title in anything. And this is their very first state title in anything at a fairly new school since 2016. Just a phenomenal job. And again, this is another bracket where people like Horseshoe Bend's going to go and win again. Horseshoe Bend, and they beat Horseshoe Bend, twice, 3-0. Like, it was just never in doubt. I watched that final game, or the actual true championship match, and Grace was a force to be reckoned with. You could not stop the Lions, the Royals. They're the Royals, but they have a lion mascot. I mean, the pride was in full display.
Dude, it's just really amazing. Ashley Frederick's 3rd year in as head coach. They say kind of in high school and in college, once you're in your 3rd year, you kind of get your own people in, your own players in. You have your culture established, which takes sometimes 2 to 3 years. So in Ashley Frederick's 3rd year, they get their first state title as a school in girls volleyball. It's awesome. Sean, let's go over some of the stats from this game, or from the tournament. Sorry. Kristen Krause, 65 kills, 12 blocks. This is over 12 sets, Sean. Like you said, they played 4 matches, only 12 sets, because every 4 times 3 is 12. They blanked every team they played. So Kristen Krause, 65 kills, 12 blocks. Lily Perry, 76 assists. She's their outside hitter, setter. Samantha Moretti, 46 digs. And she had a 90% passing percentage. That's phenomenal. And then finally, Malia Iverson had 12 aces. Those are some of the highlights from this team. Just an amazing team. And Sean, a lot of those girls play basketball.
Yeah, Krause, all these girls are their names will come up again in basketball. They played last year, covered a few games.
Right.
They work hard, and what you got to remember is there's no tapping out. There's no sub. It's not like this is the depth is not there. They never have a ton of people. It's never been their MO. That these girls are having to work the whole time. There's no rest. So it's not like, hey, we have 2 or 3 good people, we're subbing in. Volleyball is big into subbing, right? Because you want to sub in the person that can serve a little better. But when you only have, 8 girls, I mean, in their 6th play, what's your rotation? Like, you're maybe sitting for a couple minutes, but they're playing it, just play after play after play, and just putting up phenomenal numbers. It's just a perfect storm for Grace Lutheran. They were able just to put it all together. They came from, like we talked about, just a tough conference. Rockland and Mackey were, they're kind of the ones people are looking at. And here's Grace, the 5th seed, through the back door all the way to the championship.
Yeah. We just can't say enough about Grace Lutheran, how well they did this season. But they kind of sputtered. But man, once that play-in started, it was there was no break, all gas, Sean, as it finished up there. Looks like I think my connection is a little unstable. So hopefully it improves. I don't know why that's happening.
Joel's a little
Um,
unstable.
Yeah, right. things are a little unstable over here in Pocatello. So congrats again to Grace Lutheran girls volleyball. They are your 1A state champs. And they had a couple seniors. I want to say 3 seniors, and then 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen with starting time. So a mix of young and old team. They'll lose their seniors for sure, but they should be able to rebuild just fine. Just a phenomenal season and an even better postseason. Congrats to Grace Lutheran girls. Sean, that is state volleyball. Great job. Like you said, 4 out of 6 trophies came back to East Idaho.
Yeah, it's and really, I mean, it really could have been all 6. Malad definitely had a chance to win. Idaho Falls got on a very good run as well. I felt both those teams definitely could have been winners at the end of the day. Just came up a little bit short, but just really, really good seasons as well. But for East Idaho, just really flexed their muscle in volleyball this past weekend. It was on full display. The Mountain View Center in Idaho Falls was a very cool venue. They had 5A and 4A on each side, so that was pretty cool to see. You could sit in the middle and watch both if you wanted. It was just a really good results. You could just have very well coached teams. I always asked I asked a bunch of coaches a question one time. How is it that in East Idaho we're able to compete so well? And just overwhelmingly they'll go as coaching. We just have really good coaches that help instill great skill sets and determination in these players. So, again, congrats to all the coaches that got their teams to state.
Yeah, and a shout out for we talked about him already, but shout out to Bear Lake girls volleyball. Bear Lake baby from Richard Wells, 2024 basketball and volleyball state champs. Jump on the Lady Bear bandwagon while you can still find a seat. Girls sports at BLHS are fire. Thanks, Richard Wells, for the shout out to Bear Lake.
Yeah, thanks, Coach Wells. We appreciate it. And yeah, it was a phenomenal run last year at state for basketball. And I'm sure a lot of these young ladies were transitioning into basketball practice this week.
Right on. Well, that's going to do it for our coverage for girls volleyball. It was a really fun season. It was fun shouting out a lot of these teams throughout the season, Sean. A lot of them were our players of the week, our teams of the week. And we got some help from Bear Lake fans to talk about Bear Lake about a month ago as they were rolling. Unfortunately, there were a lot of teams that were rolling in volleyball and volleyball, girls soccer, boys soccer, but got a little nudge in the direction of Bear Lake girls volleyball. We were able to talk about them, and it was great timing as they were on a roll and they continued their roll along with the 3 other teams out of 6. So 4 out of 6 from East Idaho taking the state championship. Sean, let's get into cross country and highlight cross country from this past weekend. Of course, it was held at Eagle Island State Park in Eagle, or outside of Eagle, I guess in Eagle, outside of Boise, Idaho, out there in the Treasure Valley. Let's start with girls cross country, Sean. Highland gets 7th, Madison gets 8th in 6A girls cross country. And we've talked about her a lot. She had a little slip up in districts, but she came out in state and ran well. This is Brimley William from Madison. She placed 9th with an 18:32.
Yeah, it was a good job. There's a lot of good competitors in girls 5A. 6A. These classification changes are going to affect me moving forward, so bear with me, folks. But yeah, it's a tough field, right? Obviously Rocky Mountain's your champions. You have Timberline, Capital, Boise, Eagle. All these Boise schools have just been so competitive in cross country girls racing. But Highland, had a great season, district champs, won some big races. Those girls come in 7th. They did a great job. Madison comes in 8th, obviously, for Hugh. You just mentioned with that ninth place time at 8:32. But again, also Thunder Ridge was there as well. They took 10th. But, for East Idaho girls, 6A running. Still a lot of, very competitive. It's one of the toughest places to run, right? If you're going to have to run in that division, it is very tough. So congratulations to all our East Idaho athletes that were there.
And then moving into 5A, Preston got third place, and then it was IF, Shelley, and Skyline. So they went 4th, 5th, and 6th. IF 4th, Shelley 5th, Skyline 6th. JC Jensen, she's just a junior, got 4th place for IF, getting in 1924, or clocking in 1924. And then Sailor Tomazin, she's only a freshman. She placed 5th from Blackfoot, and she ran in 1928. So good job to Preston, IF, Shelley, and Skyline, and all their runners for going 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. The Twin Falls won. Bishop Kelly took second. Preston took third. Preston, the district champions. They also have kind of a good mix of young and old. None of the runners were in the top 10, but they're a lot of them were in the top 20. And they had a freshman, Avery Fulmer, who got 21st. So Preston's going to have a lot of depth coming back. So they did well. And Idaho Falls did well, and Shelley and Skyline. So you had a big chunk in the middle. That was East Idaho. So congrats to all those athletes as well.
And then from 4A, Sugar-Salem are the champs. Again, Sean, Teton got second. Sugar-Salem only had 3 girls in the top 15, but that is enough. And then as you have more come in with the points the way they are, you can end up being the champion. So really cool that Sugar-Salem got first and Teton got second.
Yeah, Sugar, they don't have anyone. Well, they had one girl in the top 4. Jackson got 4th, but besides that, they had someone 9th. So that 9th and 4th, Sugar is very consistent, and then 13th. They were just very consistent. They didn't have the tippity top, but they had enough to do very well. What pulled Teton is Claire Hunt and Addie Carlson took 5th and 6th respectively. So that really pulled Teton up into that second place team. But Sugar, wins their 85th thousandths track and field esque championship, and just congrats to them. Their program is never ever in doubt. And again, their best runners were 10th graders and a freshman. So sorry, everyone. They'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. And what is the key? They've been talking about up there, the weight room. Everyone in every sport, including cross country, is in the weight room, Sean. That's something I ran cross country for one season. We never hit the weight room, man. It was all just pure running. But hit that weight room and magic's going to happen, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of weights.
Let's jump down to 3A. Ririe are the state champs once again. Soda got second. North Fremont third again. This is girls cross country. Ririe Bulldogs get the championship, take home that blue trophy. Soda Springs is second. North Fremont is third. Lucy Boone, she's a junior, places second. She's from Ririe, got 1907. Kinsey Nielsen, she's a senior from Firth, placed third with the 1923. And then Liza Boone is a senior. Lucy Boone's, I believe, her sister. She comes in 4th with a 1946 from Ririe. So the younger sister gets the upper hand on the older sister, and both of them, though, help bring home the state title for the Ririe girls cross country team.
Yeah, it just a very dominant performance by Ririe. All the runners did really well. I think their lowest placer was 17th. So they went 2, 4, 10, 15, 17. That's a phenomenal race. That's going to get you there. Soda Springs not too far behind. Ririe had 48 points. Soda Springs had 55. They're very good. But, all the top 5 teams in the 10 teams that competed were all from East Idaho, Ririe, Soda Springs, North Fremont, Malad, and then Firth. So very East Idaho heavy in that 3A girls.
Yeah, really cool. And then finally 2A, 1A, again, they race together. Grace Grizzlies ladies cross country, they get second overall. Raft River places third. And Sean, Grace had a couple runners up top that allowed them to get that second place finish.
Yeah, Callie Coleman from Grace, a senior, takes home the title. Champion, gold medal with a time of 18:47. What a way to go out for a senior as Coleman. And then Lily Coleman The freshman, I'm assuming they're related. I couldn't quite track it down. She's only a freshman and she took 4th. So she's like, see you later, big sis, because I'm coming back next year.
That's right. No, so really cool from Grace. And then that's it for girls cross country. So girls for East Idaho, again, the Sugar-Salem are the champs for 4A and Ririe are the champs from 3A. So 2 out of 5 races, almost 50% come home with the blue trophy. Let's go to boys cross country, Sean. Let's start with 6A. Highland places 5th. Rigby places 6th. But the man of the hour, Peyton Bird, he's a senior. He gets 9th place for Rigby, coming in at a 15:43. Kind of where you expect, Sean. You already mentioned this with 6A cross country. A lot of great teams from North Idaho, from Treasure Valley, really fast runners. East Idaho was always going to be playing catch up on that, but Peyton Bird still comes in 9th.
Yeah, Peyton Bird had an incredible season, won some races, did some great things, came in 9th with that time of 15:43, right? The winning time was 14:55 from a runner out of Meridian. Both Meridian boys and girls won the individual races. I think it was the first time in Meridian school history, so that was cool to them. Highland, had great runners like Cody Christensen. He took 15th. They did I think as well as you could expect against some of these other teams. I think 5th place is very good. They had 142 in 4th place. Mountain View had a 139. So they're really close into getting, a trophy, like a 4th place trophy. And then Rigby, was kind of 6th place, and they're pretty far behind that at 186. So really good job by Highland and Rigby and Peyton Bird.
And then let's go into 5A. 8 of the top 10 came out of East Idaho, Sean. Skyline wins the boys 5A state title for cross country. IF comes in 2nd, and Century comes in 3rd. So if you're a fan of East Idaho sports, you're stoked because we go 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it was an incredible 5A boys for East Idaho, right? And then in the top 10, everyone is from East Idaho except 1 Jack Tobin from Bishop Kelly, 9 Matt Wild from Wood River. But then the rest of the top 10 is all East Idaho, either Idaho Falls, Bonneville, Century, Skyline, Idaho Falls. Just a phenomenal job. Caleb Boyd did the best from our region. It was 2nd place with 15:58. Just a great job. A couple good Century runners came 4th and 5th. Skyline had a good, obviously didn't have, their best runner was Alexander Renee in the 6th place, but they went 6, 8, 14, 15, 23. So, that was enough to narrowly beat their cross time rivals, Idaho Falls, 66 to 67. So 1 point difference. And it came down to that, the last runner, right? Idaho Falls last runner took 24th. Skylines took 23rd. So that might have been heated at the end, but really close. But congrats to Skyline for that championship. And they were a second apart.
Yeah. And again, really cool. Yeah, it was a second with, are you talking about Gary and Jones Jr. at 16 minutes and then Ethan Hansen at 16:01, right?
Oh, no, I was just going to the difference between Skyline and Idaho Falls for the state championship.
Gotcha.
Championship. The runners came in at 23rd and 23, 21. Yeah. So it was 1 point was the difference, and Skyline takes that home.
Gotcha. So yeah, congrats to those guys and those teams going 1, 2, and 3. Skyline, IF Century. Congrats again to Skyline boys cross country for taking home the title. Let's go to 4A, Sean. We've said their name with girls, and now we go to boys. They sweep boys and girls. This is Sugar-Salem we're talking about in the 4A ranks. They are the boys state champs for cross country. Teton comes in 2nd, and Snake River comes in 3rd. But the man of the hour is Teton senior Zane Lindquist, who comes in 1st.
Yeah, Zane Lindquist had a great season. Talked about him a few times. Takes away the 4A championship. Just a phenomenal job. But, Sugar-Salem and Ririe are both going to say make it a double, because that's what they did. Double championships. And you had just some great runners, and Sugar-Salem just did it with consistency. They went 9, 10, 12, 14, 16. Teton pretty close to them. Again, it was 61-73, so it was pretty tight. If you've ever heard, it's a close one between Teton and Sugar. You have heard it because it's every week in every sport for something, but Sugar is able to come away with it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, maybe not this year with football. Teton's kind of taking a step back. But yeah, usually you're right, Sean. Whether it's soccer, cross country, volleyball, and even football, it's always Teton and Sugar-Salem. And then the other team that swept it, this was Ririe in the 3A. We're jumping down to 3A now. 3A ranks. Ririe Bulldogs are the boys cross country state champions. But for 3A, the man of the match was Corbin Johnston from North Fremont coming in first.
Yeah, Corbin Johnston's been a great runner for 4 years for North Fremont, has done nothing but win races, have great times, and wins that championship, and just a great job. And then kind of cool, Ethan Williams from Westside takes second, and Westside takes third, but Westside was kind of a quietly really good cross country team in boys this year as well. But Ririe just does it with consistency. Consistency kills the cat, right? They
Right.
they went 5, 8, 9, 16, and then 35. But that 5, 8, 9, 16 is about as consistent as you can get, and they come away with another banner, another assembly for our good friend Matt Harris.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt Harris, friend of the program, great broadcaster from a broadcaster now, AD, and he also does a lot of PAing at a lot of events for the playoffs, especially basketball. Plus Matt Harris has a great taste in college teams. Just gotta say, Ririe sweeps boys and girls, and again, Sugar-Salem sweeps boys and girls cross country. Really cool, and the East Idaho teams are winning both boys and girls side. Let's jump to finally 2A, 1A. Again, it's combined for cross country. From East Idaho, the final team that takes it all are the Rockland boys, Sean, back-to-back champs with Hayden Smith, who's a senior. You mentioned these good runners like Corbin Johnston. Hayden Smith, another great runner for 4 years from Rockland. He places first with a 16:24.
Yeah, Rockland was a force to be reckoned with. They go back-to-back. They did a great job. They went 1, 8, 12, 23, and 24. Very consistent in their running. They had depth, and it's hard to see that sometimes in 2A, 1A is the depth of your runners. And Rockland really proved it. Grace goes third. Their boys actually had a very good season as well, and nothing to hang their hats on. But you have to give it up to Hayden Smith and the Rockland Bulldogs as they go back-to-back. In kind of classification kind of change thing going on, running against a little different maybe to come back and take hold of that and get the championship is just a phenomenal job for those guys over there.
Yeah, and on the 8-man Prepcast, before our Prepcast started, they were talking about Rockland, and on the coaches' quarter, they were mentioning how important it is for these kids to get out and do something, right? Whether it is football or whether it is cross country, to get out, get off the couch, get out from the video games, get out from your phone, and go participate in some kind of activity. So it's really cool when smaller schools like Rockland with 8-man football can get enough guys out and student athletes out to not only field a good football team, but also field a back-to-back boys cross country team.
Yeah, I mean, you've Hayden Smith is a big part of that as a senior leading this team, but you've got some 10th grade, you've got some younger kids. You got Xavier Parrish, who took 8th. He's only a 10th grader. You have Woodrow Loader. He's only a junior. So again, for a smaller school, it's not like it was senior heavy and it was their one shot. They had good depth. They had underclassmen. They're led by Hayden Smith as a senior. I mean, that's just hats off to creating a good program and a culture where kids are going to come out and participate. You're not getting as many kids as bigger schools, obviously, in Rockland. And the kids you do get, good coaching, great work ethics, and ends with a state championship.
Yeah. And just a little shout out. We mentioned their football team. Shout out to their football team who plays Tri-Valley in 2 days. That's coming Friday at the ICCU Dome. Go ahead and check that out. Should be a good one. And Sean's going to be there.
I'll be there. I'll be broadcasting that game for IdahoSports.com at the ICCU Dome, Rockland Tri-Valley. Should be a good one.
Perfect. And folks, all you out there watching live, sorry about the technical difficulties. My internet's flying. I got a son playing who knows what, probably playing Fortnite or something, but it's working just fine for him. My phone, so I don't know. I don't think it's from mine. I wonder if it's from the application we're using, Sean, but for some reason we're kind of struggling tonight, but we're going to push through it because the girls volleyball teams, the cross country teams push through it. We can push through it too, Sean.
Absolutely. Trophies in hand.
That's right. At the end of this show, once we've gotten through it, despite the technical difficulties, we expect a blue trophy from Paul Kingsbury. Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying,
he's
Paul.
Probably
all right.
He's probably watching. So
that's it. Okay. Well, maybe it is my internet. Who knows? Maybe I do have to kick my son off Fortnite. All right. So let's, Sean, before we finish with football, there is swimming. Swimming is happening. This weekend is going to be state swimming Friday, Saturday at West Ada YMCA. That's out in Boise. And dude, it's going to be very interesting. So you got 6A and 5A. After that, you may have some 4A schools participating, but it's really just 6A, 5A, and those schools who want to, move up to participate in swimming. But East Idaho, which is not known, Sean, you and I talked about this at the beginning of our season. East Idaho not known for swimming. There just isn't a lot of access to pools, at least down in here in Pocatello. Skyline, IF have more access, of course, up there in Idaho Falls, but we still have a lot of race entries, Sean. Let's go through the numbers just really fast, and we'll hit some names as well. For 6A, Sean, you got Highland is going to be putting in 14, not racers, but entries. So it could be one person doing 2 or 3 events. It could be one swimmer doing one event. So those numbers aren't necessarily how many student athletes are going to be swimming at state in the prelims, but it's how many entries, meaning how many races they're going to be participating in. So Highland participating in 14, Madison in 15, Rigby in 7, Thunder Ridge in 8. So pretty cool that those schools are participating in that many events.
Yeah, and why that's important is when you go back and look at that, it's comparable to some of these other schools and what they've qualified. So you at least have kind of the numbers to be competitive, where sometimes in the past maybe it wasn't that way, but you look at other schools maybe in the Boise area, they have, similar numbers. So these teams are going to have an opportunity to do some big things. Sometimes it just takes getting to the swimming, getting there, and you're just put together your best Michael Phelps and you get it. But it's nice to see the numbers increasing. I remember times where East Idaho just, everyone made it, but everyone was only like so many because there was only, a limited amount of people that swim. So you've really seen it grown here in the last few years as it's become a sport on the IHSA.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I was looking at the top 2 swimmers for each event. Unfortunately, Sean, there are none for 6A, no swimmers or teams in the top 2 for any event. When I say teams, I mean the 2 fastest teams for the relays. You have medley relay, and then you have your freestyle relays. So we'll be talking about some of those top 2s for 5A. But yeah, pretty cool that those 6A schools have that many entries for these races. For 5A, we teased this already. Bonneville has 4 entries. Century has 7. And for Century, we actually have a swimmer, Sean, in the top 2. We've talked about him before, and he's the fastest swimmer coming into the prelims. This is Deacon Major in the 200-yard IM. That was my race back in the day, but he's coming in as the fastest swimmer in the 200-yard IM, man.
Yeah, I mean, Deacon's had a great season, and like in East Idaho, they're swimming outside at Ross Park to start the season, that's where they practice until they close it. I don't know, maybe they went in there when it was closed, but that's where they're practicing outside. So just kind of an attestament to in the schools in Pocatello that had to practice outside because there's so many limited swimming pool opportunities. But it was nice to see him have the number one time. How can it translate? Can he bring that same intensity and that gear to the state swimming meet against very competitive swimmers? We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. And then Hillcrest is going to have 11 entries. Again, this is boys and girls, by the way. So Hillcrest has 11 entries. For the boys, Sean, we have number 2, the second fastest in the 100-yard freestyle is Adam Allred from Hillcrest. And then their team, and Adam obviously helping with this, they're the second fastest relay team in the 200-yard free relay. So awesome job for Hillcrest to come in that fast.
Yeah, Hillcrest doing a really good job. And let's be honest, when it's the Olympics, everyone loves watching those relays. So
yeah, man,
it's and I've had a few kids I've known that have swam, and they also say it's the fun time of the tournament. You've got the relays, you got your team, because swimming can be such an individual thing, right? And then you've got the relay and the cheering, and so that will be very exciting for those nights up there swimming.
And speaking of the cheering, it gets so loud, especially those indoor meets. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's ringing. It's so loud. It's crazy. Almost like those cheerleading meets. If you've ever been to one of those cheerleading tournaments, how loud it gets in there because everyone's cheering for everyone. It's insane. Super, super fun. All right. And then that's Hillcrest. And Idaho Falls putting in the most entries out of all 6A and 5A East Idaho teams with 31 entries, Sean. And they got a couple fast swimmers as well.
Yeah, I mean, Idaho Falls has been good. They're a team that is, since swimming's become a sport that we recognize, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the correct term is. They've really done a great job at keeping it going, keeping that culture. And you have Jackson Balsemeyer, 200 free. He's second place, and he's number 1 in the 500 yard. Grimm's the 50-yard free, which is really fun, and the 100-yard free. And then number 1, I can't see it because you have your cursor on it, but
I'm off it. I'm off. Sorry. I was like, I couldn't wait to pronounce it, man.
Another Grimes. I wonder if they're related, the two Grimes. Yeah, they've got to be, right?
They are. Yep.
And the 100-yard the backstroke, very difficult race, but they've already got some, 3 1s in the state right now and a 2. And obviously if you have 31, they've got relays, right? So Idaho Falls, it's a tantalizing matchup. Are they going to have enough to knock out a Bishop Kelly who won last year? I think that they've got a team that's built to kind of maybe do that, bring back some hardware.
Yeah. Well, and I think Bishop Kelly I want to say they're in 6A, Sean, but I might be wrong on that. When I was looking at it earlier for swimming, I think Bishop Kelly went up to 6A. So yeah, this could be Idaho Falls' chance. You mentioned the Grimes. Yeah, Rongi Grimes, 50-yard free and 100-yard free, number 1 in both of those. So that's really cool. And then, yeah, sibling, no doubt, is also number 1, Mahealani Grimes and the 100-yard back. So man, some fast Grimes kids. I definitely need to swim with them someday.
Yeah, and Idaho Falls and boys swimming took 5th, or no, they took 6th last year, and girls they took 3rd. And if BK did move up, we'll have to double check that. That would significantly change the landscape, I think, of that running total. But I want to say you're right. I think I did see BK's on the 6A entries. So
yeah, looking at it right now, Sean, 2024 Idaho High School swimming 6A, Bishop Kelly. Whew, a lot of swimmers, dude. A lot of swimmers from Bishop Kelly. A lot of entries. I think it looks like they have 29 entries, man. So yeah, Bishop Kelly definitely going to be representing not in 5A this year, but 6A.
Yeah, so that might open the door for an East Idaho boys team. So yeah, Idaho Falls, we'll have to wait and see, but definitely will be able to be competitive with that many entries and with some people already with the fastest times in that classification. So good luck to them.
Yeah. And then Pocatello's bringing 19 entries, Shelley bringing 3, Skyline bringing 22, and Skyline has a couple fast swimmers. Number 1, the fastest swimmer in the 200-yard freestyle, and the second fastest in the 500-yard freestyle is Elias Couch from Skyline. And then the second fastest swimmer in the 100-yard backstroke is Julia Daniel. So Skyline, like we mentioned earlier earlier this year, Sean, at the beginning when we first started broadcasting or podcasting together, that Skyline would be a heavy favorite for swimming, and they definitely have that with those 22 entries. But again, Idaho Falls is going to have something to say about that with 31 entries. So going to be really fun, Sean, to see what happens this weekend in 5A swimming.
Yeah, in a lot of times it comes down because it's kind of a group thing, right? So if you win some and win those relays, so if your team can really come together. Skyline girls took 12th last year, so it'll be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Sean, let's finish this championship episode with some football. Football. Here we go. But for those who want a full recap of East Idaho football, unfortunately, you ain't going to get it here. But go check out the Gem State Game Day on IdahoSports.com or on IdahoSports.com's YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and you can watch a replay of
Monday
everything. From 6A all the way down to, we even do some 8-man. But if you want to get 8-man football, that's another Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. But you can get all of your insight into what happened last week and what's coming up this week. But Sean, we do want to highlight a few teams, don't we? Some biggest surprises and the biggest upcoming matchups. So Sean, for you, I chose a couple teams, as you can see on our spreadsheet or on our doc. I chose a couple games. I chose number 10 Blackfoot beating number 7 Preston, and then I chose number 11 American Falls beating number 6 Moscow. Those are my biggest surprises. Among those do you have one you want to talk about, or is there a different game that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think definitely. I don't know if I would call the Blackfoot Preston so much an upset. Blackfoot beat them earlier in the season. Preston gets a predetermined spot because they won the district championship. But I thought both teams were hot coming in. Blackfoot, it's a close game. Carter Perry throws some interceptions. That's really kind of the difference.
Yeah.
Been fairly mistake-free the last few games for this Preston team, and I think turnovers was that. So I wasn't surprised. But what is interesting about that is you get a rematch of Hillcrest Blackfoot in the next round, which on paper you would go
Hillcrest
Knights. But playing a team again, I don't know. I find it a little more interesting. I find it a pretty big contrast in styles. I feel like Hillcrest, can run the ball, but they're not afraid to have Sweetwood throw it, sling it a little more, and Blackfoot is able to cause turnovers and kind of ground and pound. So it could be a little more competitive than it is on paper. So I find that interesting when you get those district rematches, late, second round of the playoffs.
Definitely. Blackfoot's defense is really good, Sean. I think if Blackfoot can get it to the fourth quarter against Hillcrest, they can do something. But I think Hillcrest has too many weapons that I think Blackfoot won't be able to get to the fourth quarter. I think this game could be over, late first half, early second half. But yeah, if Blackfoot can get it to the fourth quarter, force some turnovers, I think they have a chance. And again, shout out my buddy Peyton Madison, a senior for Blackfoot, who's been through the ringer for them. But Blackfoot getting their new coach out of Declo, man, it's just been a fabulous season. And I think Blackfoot's playing with house money at this point, Sean.
Yeah, and people on Gem State talked about this Monday night. I special guest and then left.
Nice.
I took a cue from you.
You pulled a Joel.
Yeah, and then 8-man, that was before us, kind of too.
Right.
You talked about it when you're just kind of, maybe not there, not expected to be there. You don't have anything to lose. Blackfoot has absolutely nothing to lose. Hillcrest, really has a lot to lose, right? You've got a lot of good seniors. You're the defending runner-ups. You want to get back to that game. Blackfoot didn't win a game last year,
right?
And now they're, what's it matter? They're going to go out and play super hard. They have all year. And I would agree with you 100%. If they can find a way to keep it kind of, I would say ugly, just ugly uncomfortable for kind of a smooth Hillcrest team. They could keep it ugly and close, then, who knows?
Yeah.
Blackfoot's found a way to win close games all year.
Right on. And that game, Blackfoot at Hillcrest is coming up this weekend. And then the other big surprise, Sean, I wanted to talk about this really quickly. Number 11, American Falls beats number 6, Moscow, 24-16. The game was an 8-point ball game, but American Falls pulls it out, Sean, their first playoff win since 1995.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone threw American Falls under the bus. I remember a couple weeks ago. You weren't there.
No, remember when I picked them to beat Aberdeen?
Yeah, and they almost did, and they hadn't won forever, but it was like the most competitive they'd been against Aberdeen in years. And everyone is like, Moscow moved down to the division. They're really, really, they're big. They, this, all that. But in the back of my mind, it always felt like Marsh Valley had American Falls had a good chance. American Falls just kind of had some like ups and downs, and they kept it close enough to punch it through. And, after it's all said and done, everyone's pretty, kind of eating some crow there about the Beavers just a few miles away from us, American Falls. Yeah. I mean, Joel can almost see American Falls from his house. I mean, unfortunately for American Falls, they're gonna take on a Weiser team, which a lot of people think they're the best team in this. Normally it's Sugar is the 1 seed, Weezer's the 3 seed. There's a lot of hype about this Weiser team. I think it's going to be a tough task for this American Falls team, for a well-oiled Weiser team. I'm not sure American Falls will have enough firepower to take it, but you know what? Again, they're just like the Blackfoot team. Hey, we're in the second round of the playoffs. We haven't been here forever. We're going to go up to Weiser, and we're going to play until the end, and they play hard.
Yeah, 100%. So good luck to our East Idaho fellas, the American Falls against Weiser. Hopefully it's a close game. And again, you're playing loose. You're playing with house money, like Sean said. Sean, biggest upcoming match. We already talked about Blackfoot, Hillcrest, American Falls, Weiser. We also have number 2 Madison playing number 2 Eagle. Eagle had a bye to this round, so Eagle hasn't played yet. Always interesting when a team is coming in a little bit more maybe rusty, maybe not as practiced. And then number 6, Ririe at number 3, West Side. So some East Idaho on East Idaho action. And then Snake River at Sugar-Salem. Any of those games most interest to you?
Definitely. I got to talk about Madison Eagle on Gem State. And I talked about this, and I've talked about it before. When I look at that 6A bracket, I felt like for Madison, taking, not winning the district, I felt like they got the best bracket.
Yeah, right.
I really did. Seeing Rigby and Rocky Mountain as far as away as possible from you, I felt was great. Madison did a good job against Capital. They put them away 49-21, and Eagle, I think, is a good team. I just think Madison is very underrated right now. Mm-hmm. And again, East Idaho schools like Highland typically, when they get an opportunity, Rigby does really good at going to like Meridian and winning amazing games. Like they're well versed in traveling and going and playing a big game. I just don't know if Eagle has been tested. I mean, I feel like they've been tested and they've just kind of lucked out, but it's been close enough that they barely beat a Meridian team that's not in the playoffs. Right. And Rocky Mountain took care of business against them pretty easily. I was very interested in that game. So I think Madison has a great opportunity to get to a semifinal. I feel like out of all the teams they have to, they would have had to play Coeur d'Alene, Rigby, or Rocky Mountain. I felt like Eagle was by far the best matchup. And I'll even quote you on it because their offensive and defensive lines are phenomenally large and in charge, and that's going to keep you in games, and they're going to be able to run the ball, and they got different guys that can run it. So it'll be, I would not be surprised if Madison finds a way to come up with a win and move into the semifinals.
No notes, Sean. You took it all. You took everything out of my mouth. That's 100%. Sean, I'm picking Madison. It's not the East bias. Well, maybe it is because there is bias there because East Idaho football teams have been better in 6A than Treasure Valley has. Eagle hasn't played the teams that Madison has, and Madison is in the trenches. They're super strong in the trenches, and that travels. I don't care if it's at Eagle, at Rocky Mountain. Madison's going to be in games because of those trenches. And like you said, yeah, no notes. 100% agree, and I'm taking Madison in this game. I think Madison pulls this one out and gets that semifinals berth.
Yeah, and don't forget, Madison's only loss to Rigby. That's their only loss, and Madison made a game of it towards the end. And right. I think Rigby started slow and has progressively gotten much better. And I think Madison has the capability of playing with any of these teams. And just to say your only loss is Rigby, which is a potential favorite, speaks volumes. I think Eagle's good. They have a good quarterback. They can do a lot of things. I also like Madison winning this kind of upset. I think you'd call an upset just because they're the lower seed.
Right. And honestly, we mentioned Madison hasn't been maybe getting the love. They were ranked in the media poll often, right, Sean? So the media was giving Madison love. We weren't quite we were always not sure if that was fair. But as Madison kept winning, it seemed more fair. Yeah, they lost to Rigby, but I think they just got bumped to 5th, or maybe they were out of the top 5 in the media poll. But I'm just giving some credit to the media poll, who did keep Madison in the top 5 for a while. So really impressive that everyone around the state did we all were cautiously optimistic about Madison, and Madison has continued to prove us right, and then obviously prove a lot of us wrong. So that's a big game coming up. Madison Eagle. We already talked about Blackfoot Hillcrest, and then Ririe Westside. Sean, if you had to pick right now, Ririe Westside, who would you pick in that one?
I'm going to go Westside Pirates.
Yeah.
They've been here. They have the pedigree. They have the culture. They had, they lost a couple games, and everyone kind of acting like the wheels have came off the bus and they're hitting the edge of the cliff, but they quickly redirected that. And just to be honest, I really want to see a Westside Aberdeen semifinal really bad. It was a 2-point game earlier in the season. A couple extra points didn't fall Aberdeen's way. So I really am banking on Aberdeen Westside semifinal. Now I think Riley's done well. I don't know if Riley's played a team like Westside, a team defensively schemed so well and has so many talented players. I think Ririe scores a lot of points, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that against Westside, and that will be the difference. They're not going to get as many points to get a lead. It's going to be tight, and then probably Westside gets a few big plays, and it could be like 14-0, and that's the game. Kind of is what I see. Is like, Riley scored a ton of points. I could see where that scoring stops due to Westside.
Yeah. Well, Sean, it's been an hour, and we're all done. We've gone through all the East Idaho sports. I can't believe there's not more. Is there another blue trophy out there that we didn't award anybody, or do we get everyone awarded?
I usually have one at home, but I don't right now.
Wait till the spring, everybody. Sean Kane will get us another East Idaho blue trophy. Sean, where are you going to be this weekend, man?
I'm going to be in the ICCU Dome for just a dynamo of games. We're going to have Rockland Tri-Valley, and then we're going to be followed up with Snake River and Sugar-Salem, the Tri-Valley Rockland game is a huge head scratcher to me. Rockland banged up. They have their third string quarterback, but he's played pretty much the whole game in Perlman. So, he's not really a third string. Will they have enough healthy players to be effective against a Tri-Valley team that's only lost one game? It's put up some phenomenal numbers. Wagner on there, maybe potentially one of the best quarterbacks in football, period, doing great things for Tri-Valley. I think that game just could be a shootout. Or, I don't 8-man football. Everyone always goes, it's going to be a shootout. And then sometimes you get these games where it's not a shootout and it's a defensive struggle. And it could be that way. They've just got some big time players on both teams. And Snake and Sugar, Snake has just been decimated by injuries. Last week I was informed they played like 6 different running backs and even a freshman at times. They try to get something going. So I just don't know if they're going to have enough left in the tank to keep up with a high-powered scoring Sugar-Salem offense that's kind of hitting on all cylinders now. But like a lot of people have come up and said, Sugar is has been kind of chipped on the face a little jab in the face, and they've kind of stumbled a little bit, but still coming out with big games. So they've been tested, they've blown out, they've done a lot of different things, and you never know. It's playoff football. It's in the dome. Weather's not going to be a factor. Who knows what's going to happen? But I think Sugar maybe has a little too much firepower.
Yeah, no, Sugar has, they are beatable, but I think Snake River with their injury issues, I think Sugar is going to win that one. Sean, I'll be at Butte County Rimrock tomorrow night. Looking forward to that one. And then Friday, I'll be at Aberdeen. Once again, Aberdeen playing North Fremont. Had a great conversation with Coach North Fremont. Dude, that first year head coach, Keith Director, he says he listens, watches all of our shows. So shout out to, I know, right? Shout out to Keith, head coach Keith Director of the North Fremont Huskies. Really loved our conversation. And they're kind of playing with house money as well. Maybe Coach Director doesn't like that so much, but they really have not a lot to lose. Coach Director's trying to change some of the culture there, and we are here to win, and we want to win everything, not just get to the playoffs, not just win the first round. We want to go all the way. So really interesting matchup and a fun conversation with Coach Director. And then Sean, I will then on Saturday be Skyline Twin Falls. You and I were at Skyline last week. We talked about Skyline Twin Falls coming up a little bit. We talked about that at the end of the game last week.
Got to talk about it now.
We got to talk about it now. So Skyline Twin Falls has a good offense. Can their offense though keep up with Skyline's?
I mean, I think this is, again, I think when we did Nampa Skyline, a big storyline for us is it wasn't necessarily, 1 versus 16 wasn't the full story. It felt like Nampa was a better 16th seed. I think it's the same scenario again, right? I think, Twin Falls is an 8th seed, Skyline's a first seed, but a Twin Falls team that is just dangerous. They have a lot of things that can be dangerous, and defensively, they're very solid, but that will be the key. I think the key will be Twin Falls defense against Skyline. And now if I was going to tell you Skyline's going to give you 3 picks against Twin, right? I might be picking Twin.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
right.
Yeah.
Skyline's got things to clean up, 3 interceptions against Nampa and still win 42-14. I think you're kind of feeling it kind of lucky. Even the score is lopsided. Skyline relied a lot on big playability. Like they didn't have really long drives. They took, a couple plays and then just had a big 20-yard touchdown. Nothing took any time away. I bet if you went back, I bet you Nampa had the ball more than Skyline, which it doesn't matter if you're ahead. So, I think, if Twin Falls can find a way to just kind of keep it close and control the ball and come away with points and limit Skyline's opportunity to touch the ball, it could be a slugfest. But Skyline's defense is elite too. I see it maybe not being a high scoring game, but yeah, like I said, Skyline throws 3 interceptions, but still finds a way. The score: Zion Crockett, Trey Kirkham, Liam Lynch, just lots of players that can do different things. So until I see a team stop Zion Crockett, I'm going Skyline.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. But yeah, if you're Carmine Garcia and you're throwing 3 picks against Twin Falls, watch out, because Nampa, that was their problem, right? Sean, Nampa couldn't turn those 3 turnovers into points. Twin Falls will. They'll turn at least 1, if not 2 of those picks, of those turnovers into points. I assume Skyline will be a bit more sound with their ball control, with their turnovers. I'm taking Skyline in this one as well, but yeah, if Garcia throws some, if he tries to force things and they don't just keep it simple, getting the ball to the playmakers, using Liam Lynch, who's emerged as a solid running back late in the season. If you don't keep it simple, watch out. Twin Falls could steal this one for sure.
Yeah. The other thing I would say, just Skyline's run defense with Case and Smith and different people in there is very effective. And Twin Falls is a very run heavy team. They kind of run a very similar kind of option run pass option play that Skyline does with their players, Dylan Carter, different people. So if Skyline's defense is stopping the run, it could be a tough night for the Bruins. But if they're not, Ames, Twin Falls running back, is very dynamic and get big chunks of yards, just like Crockett. So it could be pretty close, but I don't know. I like Skyline's defense right now. They were able to hold the mistakes the offense made in check.
Nice. Yeah, Casey Smith is so fun to watch. You and I have watched him a few times this season. So, hey, good luck to all the teams this weekend, everybody. Sean and I will be out there. We're going to be doing, Sean and I will be doing, what is that, 5 of the 17 that Idaho Sports will be doing this weekend. Idaho Sports trying to get out to as many playoff games as possible. A lot of them are on video. A lot of them are audio. So if you can't make it out to the games in person, please check out IdahoSports.com and look for the game you want to watch. And audio is free. Video costs about $5. Maybe there might be an opportunity to pay a flat fee and get as many games as you want. Looking into that one a little bit further, but should be a great weekend of games. Enjoy all the games, everybody. Hey, and do us a favor. If you enjoyed the show, like and subscribe to the East Idaho Prepcast, right? Yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. Fuel the algorithm, and so this will pop up Wednesday nights. We usually start about 8:30, maybe a little bit later, just depending how long the Idaho 8-man Prepcast is going. And
end of the 8-man,
right? I mean, come on,
for the end.
Yeah, and right.
And get like a little 8-man, then come here for a little more detailed of everything. But yeah, we'll have swim results.
Yep.
And then it's like fall sports are over. Basketball practice has started for girls, Joel. So fall sports football goes forever. So you get to talk about football forever. But fall sports are over, and it's going to be basketball, and I love basketball, so I can't wait. But I'm not 100%. Looking past what's ahead.
For sure. So yeah, hit the like and subscribe buttons, so you know when the show hits, and you can see Sean, Kane, and I every Wednesday at 8:30. Again, you can watch this show on IdahoSports.com, IdahoSports.com's Facebook page, YouTube page, or X account, and then of course you can listen to the show on IdahoSports.com or wherever you get your podcasts. For Sean Kane, the East Idaho expert and insider, I'm Joel Richardson saying enjoy all the games this weekend, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.